Preparing live streaming. All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. As a reminder, 1 Million Cups is a weekly event started by the Kauffman Foundation and is currently held in more than 130 communities across the nation with the goal of caffeinating entrepreneurs nationwide every Wednesday. And every Wednesday, those communities meet to give each other support, encouragement, and feedback over a cup of coffee. Our community meets here at Rome in the town at Trilith every Wednesday morning from 9 to 10. And 1 or 2 early stage startups will present their companies to a diverse audience of peers, mentors, educators, and advisors. Before we get things started, though, I just want to acknowledge and thank our community sponsors, Rome, for providing this beautiful space, which I may mention is a different space than we're used to meeting in. Today, we're downstairs in the cafe area. So I apologize ahead of time for any background noise, and I certainly hope that our presenter can hear us well. We'll see how this goes. I'd also like to just thank my company, Jason Hunter Design, and my people for volunteering their time and resources to organize and promote the event. Edwin Jarvis, who is a local print shop here, who provides us with high quality flyers that we're able to distribute around town. And of course, Counterculture Coffee for the coffee. Our guest this morning is Rebecca with NOC Stat. Think Uber meets Rover, but for human care. At the end of her presentation, she'll be asked, what can we as a community do for you? Which will start the Q&A portion of the program. After, give or take, 20 minutes of Q&A, we'll see how much time we have left, and we can open up the floor to any of the attendees who might need some feedback on something they have in mind. So without further ado, I am going to switch. That's a lovely sound. I guess that's what we have to deal with this morning. It's all right. Let me switch the camera source. Let me go back and make Rebecca co-host.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Jason, for the introduction. I hope you guys are able to hear me, and then let me know that you can see the slides as well.
I'm going to just put you up on a different screen so we can all see the bar. Where is my 1 second, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Move you over here. All right, we see your slides, and I'm turning volume all the way up. All right, guys, it's ready to start.
All right.
All right, let's do a sound check. Can we hear you?
Check 1, 2. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah. What?
Thumbs up, yes or no, if you can hear me.
We have a wise guy in the audience who said what? But yeah, we're weird.
It's all good. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry I can't be in Fayetteville this morning, but at least I'm here with Zoom. So I appreciate you guys having me this morning for 1 Million Cups. I have done many presentations across the state of Florida and in Pennsylvania with our company, and I really do appreciate the time this morning. So like Jason said, our company a couple of months ago just had a rebranding effort. So we're no longer Knoxdot. We have rebranded ourselves as Care Collective. We are an on-demand caregiving service marketplace. So I love to start my presentation always talking about Simon Sinek. If you've never heard of Simon Sinek, please research him out. But Simon's biggest thing about business is starting with your why. And if we could get to the next slide, there we go. So my why is about my family. And this is actually a screenshot from my sister and my dad being on a Dr. Phil episode. If you want to watch the segment that they're on, you can just Google on your YouTube, Dr. Phil Young Caregiver, and you'll be able to see her and my dad on the segment. It's only about 8 minutes long, but it has a lot of great information. So for me, like I said, it does start with my family. And the story for my dad is that he had a stroke in February of 2012. I live in Florida. My family is in Pennsylvania. And even though my family has experience in healthcare, where my mom's a neonatal intensive care nurse and my sister was still living at home as a college student, we met a lot of challenges with taking on somebody that needs 24/7 care. The problems that we faced are not unheard of. It's pretty standard across the industry, where you'll see families that struggle with affordability, dependability, and flexibility for your healthcare needs. And because of that, my mom and my sister, being full-time tag team partners in this, ended up developing what we call caregiver burnout. And caregiver burnout comes in several different forms. And with my family, it turned into alcohol addiction, prescription drug addiction, anxiety and depression, along with other mental health issues like anorexia. So taking my family's experience and understanding the traditional caregiver, which is usually defined in AARP terms as part of the sandwich generation, it's pretty much right here on black and white, basically talking about what a traditional caregiver looks like in the United States. 1 out of every 6 Americans that is working right now is a full-time caregiver or a part-time caregiver, meaning they do at least 24.4 hours a week minimum of care on average. So the sandwich generation definition itself is somebody who's between the ages of 30 and 60 who have dependent children living in the home. That doesn't necessarily mean minors. It could be, young adults that are living still at the home. And they also are taking care of a disabled family member. They're usually a working professional trying to do full-time hours, but because their family structure is the way it is, they're financially at risk for ruin if that person who's the primary caregiver is stopping work to take care of a loved one. They have tried traditional in-home agencies or other solutions, but they're just not financially feasible or locally available. And then there's also the talk of putting their family member in a facility, of which most of the time is financially just as bad as if they were having in-home care. The biggest problem with most of our clients that we'll be seeing is that work-life balance. And especially during COVID, we've seen a lot of changes in the way that people are trying to provide care for their loved ones. So how are we solving this care crisis for caregivers in the United States? Well, we're developing an application that's a gig economy platform. So like Jason had said in our introduction, think Uber meets Rover, that dog walking app, for human caregiving. So what we do is having an on-demand care app like Uber, so you can get your quick service and GPS tracking. And with Rover, they do meet and greets. And what we do for our meet and greets is actually called a video chat triage to go over the expectations of care. So everything that you're talking to your care provider over the phone with is already getting you set up for success. So when they come in the door, you're not wasting time having to re-explain things from one person to another. So how does it work? With transparency, we believe in having fair and even opportunity for both parties involved in the transaction to have complete transparency and control. So all parties have the ability to start and stop the clock. Therefore, there is no conflict on, how much people pay for their services. Care providers can actually offer updates. So if it's like a longer time period of care, they can send pictures, videos, and actually make phone calls through our application to communicate with the family member. The payment is actually at the end of the transaction, just like if you were to pick up an Uber right now. And then it is a two-sided rating system post-care. So there is complete opportunity for feedback and also knowing that you're getting a good care provider and seeing what their strengths are. So these are basically the biggest list of possible of what our USP is. The biggest thing for us that we take away as being a differentiator in the marketplace is we do have an extensive background check that is paid for by the care provider. They have skin in the game. So we know that these people are looking for opportunities to work. We're not paying for it out of our corporate pocket. And it also includes a psychological profile examination that will be part of their profile to make sure that they are a good match personality-wise. And also we're possibly working with a company that will be screening our people. So if they don't meet the psychological portion of the program where they have the possibility of committing a crime, or they have emotional skills that are not necessary, or they don't have the emotional skills necessary to perform care, they won't be given what we consider a good rating or a check mark or a logo, whatever that company comes up with us. We do offer flat rate care level pricing, which is unheard of. We don't do surge pricing. We don't do holiday pricing because we believe in having an affordable way to do healthcare. And for most people, when we talk about our application, And especially when I talk to nurses and people in the industry who have over 30 or 40 years of experience, they said this is actually how healthcare used to be, where people would hire their own private nurses and have them come in. We're just adding technology to make old school nursing popular again. So how does our company make revenue? Well, just like Uber and Rover and all these other care or other applications that are out there, we're taking a technology fee that is taken by the care provider. They get a lump sum of 75% plus their tips. Because we are private pay, we do allow them to have tips at this point. Our basic care level, which is what we consider companion care, our people can start making at $16.50 an hour net after we take our 25% fee for our $22 an hour. Then we also have the ability to make revenue with adding a service fee on the patient family side. So if you ever look at your Uber bill or your Rover transactions, if you've ever used Rover, you'll see that there is a service fee on your receipt. We also will have that transaction fee that covers the insurance of the actual transaction itself. So there is an insurance policy on board, and it also covers the cost of maintenance on the user side. We also generate revenue because we have to have our people have their background check done annually, and also verifying their licensing credentials if they're a skilled nurse worker. And then also lastly, eventually we're going to be doing our own branded merchandise, whether that be, scrubs, t-shirts, and also offering products that people may need on a daily basis. They can order through our platform, kind of like a mini Amazon for healthcare, durable medical equipment, things like that. To talk about a little bit of our team, it's myself, my CTO, Jerome. I have Ulia, who's also a developer. We have another partner named Mel who works under Jerome. They used to work together in a different time period. And we already have an offshore development team that's been working on our application as we speak. Our advisory team, I have many more advisors than this. I have about 8 advisors, but these are my top 4, mostly in IT, finance, and then operations. And Tony is actually part of our board, and he's actually here today. So he's been a great help so far. So I could talk a little bit about the actual industry itself, but does anybody have any questions at this point regarding our application? And we can talk about the actual healthcare industry at this point, because I'm sure everybody's heard everything about the healthcare industry.
Enough to know that it's messed up. Well, I mean, technically, the first question I'm supposed to ask you for 1 Million Cups is, what can we as a community do for you? And my first question is probably right in line with that, but how far along are you? Is this a functional app? So is the answer to that question, like, go download the app and test it out, share with, tell us what you'd like from us?
Sure, absolutely. So I do have a slide for that. So my basic things, obviously every single company that usually comes on here looks for investors, but I'm just looking for introductions. I know that not every investor is going to be the right investor for me, but I like to talk to investors just to understand their mindset and what numbers they're actually looking for when doing presentations, so I can actually hone my pitch deck even further. Not only that, I'm looking for nursing education program administrators. So we're talking about your Galen Nursing, your local community college nursing programs, things like that. Those introductions are paramount because we're looking to leverage our application with these nursing schools because they need to get clinical hours for their nursing students. And we want to be able to facilitate affordable care by offering free services through the college programs, by saying to families, hey, we have nursing students that could come in and help with your family care. Would you be willing to be a part of the program? And then these schools actually have the ability to offer clinical hours. And because of our platform, since we have a virtual video chat option on there, they can actually do their virtual education with an instructor via video chat with hands-on patient. Also, other advisory positions I'm looking for somebody who is a healthcare administrator who used to work in the hospital industry or in an ALF or SNF, which is a SNF. So assisted living facility or skilled nursing facility, somebody who is actually at the corporate level, not necessarily boots on the ground inside of a facility, but I'm looking at like your C-level suite executives who understand how transitions happen within the hospital systems and then post care, moving them into rehab or at home care. And then also a marketing advisor to assist me with making sure my go-to-market strategy is correct and it's in the right budgets type of thing for our business model. Other than that, yes, as far as our status goes with our application, we are about, I would say, a third of the way through development. We've been struggling to get past our APIs with other vendor services that we're working with, from our credit card processing to our background check to our education program. Our education program being our onboarding system and training that we offer to care providers before they go active in our system. It's just that because we're so niche and that we're not a traditional company that most of these companies have worked with before, it's been a little bit slow getting those APIs together. But we can easily move ourselves into about 66% once we get those APIs structured, but we're looking at a goal of launching still in November, December. November is actually Caregiver Awareness Month. So I would love to be launched in November so we can get that timing right. As far as any, yeah.
I want to compliment you before anybody else even asks any questions. Your presentation, I know I didn't limit you to 6 minutes because you're the only presenter today. So as far as 1 Million Cups structure goes, I would be interested to see how you can pack that. I didn't actually watch the time, but it felt like more than 6, but I have to say that it was a really great presentation. You covered absolutely everything in a very easy to follow format. We are supposed to offer you coaching before everyone, and we aren't set up to do that yet. But I will say, whoever has helped you, whether it's your advisors or other 1 Million Cups chapters, this was a great presentation.
Thank
so
you.
Congratulations on that. I definitely think that you've done a really great job. With that, though, I'd love to see if anybody else has any questions. Not sure. I will say I did definitely write down notes about what you're looking for. I have two people whose goal is to help create angel investors. One of them is more on like she's written a couple of books and she coaches people on not only how to be an angel investor, but also how to be a startup that is attractive to an angel investor. So I think she might be someone you would find very interesting to talk to. If not, check out her books and her podcast. At the very least, it'd be someone interesting. The other guy is someone who, very similarly, he's trying to create a collective of angel investors so that instead of being an angel investor not sure who to invest in, it's almost like a mutual fund. So you put your money into a fund and then they go out and manage it. It's pretty cool. But he invests in technology, which it seems like you are building, and you're not reinventing the wheel, but you're just applying it to something very niche. And I think that's pretty awesome. So I think he might be interested. I don't have a close relationship with him, but I'd love to make that introduction. There's so I own a web development company, and we had a potential client that was in the nursing industry here in the Atlanta market, and this would give me a great opportunity to reach back out to them as a way to introduce you and see if there's some way for you guys to find some synergy with each other. And then I do know people who work at Piedmont Healthcare here, but I don't think they're in the C-level, and they would still be working there. But anyway, you've got my mind thinking about all these different people that I'd love to make an introduction to. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at.
I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. Now, have any of you guys in the audience, the 5 of us, have any of you guys actually had to be a caregiver to like a mother, father, husband, wife?
Where I was going to go next is, thinking about actually using this as an application within my own family. So I was just mentioning, I don't know if you heard me in conversation before we got started, but my 96-year-old grandmother she was sharp as a tack until this year. And all of a sudden they went on this big family vacation up to Vancouver, and then they took a cruise through Alaska. And when they got home, my dad and my stepmom were like, we didn't realize how much she was slipping until we had to spend like that much time with her. They live across the street, like they see her all the time, but they didn't see her from, breakfast to dinner every single day. And they were like, wow, we need to look at putting her in an assisted living type of area, right? So they came home and they went to go visit these places, and she decided that that's not for her, and they don't want to fight with her at this point. So we are, as a family, talking about like what the next option is. So is it like, in my grandmother's own words, what happens if she doesn't wake up one day? Who's gonna know? And we're like, geez, that's morbid, and I hate that you're thinking like that, but like it's reality. Like you're 96 years old, and who knows, right? I mean, my grandfather, not her husband, but my grandfather died of a brain aneurysm in his sleep at like 70. So I mean, you just never know. My dad does a really good job of calling her in the morning, but so I'm watching your presentation, and I'm thinking, for $22 an hour, I would love to send somebody over there every morning and have coffee with her, like just hang with her, like the companion level. Like she doesn't even take medications. She drives herself to Target and walks every single day. Like she goes to the penny arcade in the evening where they feed her. Like she's got her routine. She's doing great. But like, and she tells you the same thing or asks you the same questions 10 times in a 10-minute period, you have to start to wonder, is it really safe for her to drive? Is it, like all these things. So like, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm thinking about how we would utilize this for her. And yet she's still living on her own. Like it's
Exactly.
obvious, I'm actually interested to watch that Dr. Phil episode, because I imagine as my own parents get older. Actually, I just got off the phone with my best friend right before we all started this morning, and his parents came to visit him in Charlotte this weekend, and he was saying how like his dad can't really get around that easily anymore. Like they're heading in the direction of like his mom admitting that she can't do it all and that she's going to need some help. And like, I know that there are other options out there, but this feels modern and more accessible. So
Exactly. And so like my family, not only did my dad have a stroke 10 years ago, but my mom recently had knee replacement surgery. And my dad was 63 when he had his stroke, so he was young. My mom had knee replacement surgery 3 months ago. And between my brother, sister, and I, we've done caregiving before, but this time we started arguing with each other because we all had to take off time from work to take care of my mom, to get her groceries, take her to doctor's appointments. And that was one of my arguments. I'm like, hey guys, I need to work here in Florida. If I don't work, because I'm a sole proprietor with other businesses, I don't make money. So if I take time off, I need to make sure it's only this time period. And so we argued about care. I also have a 95-year-old grandmother who lives in Chicago, independent living, and my aunt, God bless her, make sure she gets groceries. So she goes to doctor's appointments with her, things like that. And luckily my aunt at this point is retired, but beforehand she was running all over the place, working and taking care of my grandmother and all that stuff. And we see this as an opportunity for families to leverage little tiny pieces. And one of the things and challenges with the current industry, the way it's running, is that the traditional agency structure has a lot of middlemen. You have usually somebody come to your home from an agency. They're usually a salesperson. They do an assessment. The assessment itself is a lot of questions, mostly surrounding money, like how do you think you're going to be able to afford it? This is the kind of level of care we're thinking. And they're kind of just figuring out if you're going to be able to afford their care or not, if you're going to be a qualifying family to give them as many hours as possible. They want to maximize hours because their care providers that they work with are wanting a lot of hours, and they have higher overhead. So they, of course, charge more than what we're charging. And they usually charge at least a 4-hour minimum, 3-hour minimum in a day, but you pay a premium for the 3 to 4 hours. If you have them for 8 to 12 hours, it's a little bit cheaper per hour, but it's a very expensive way to do healthcare. And I've also had issues where we went through this agency, they misbilled us. So they billed us for time we never had, and they sent people to our home when we didn't schedule people. And I had a care provider try to break in the door. trying to get inside. And luckily I answered the door, and I'm from Philly, so I don't let anybody through my door. But it was a major safety issue because God forbid it was somebody who is in her 70s, 95 pounds. This guy was about 275, built like a linebacker, and tried to come in through the door saying, I'm here to take care of, my dad. And I'm like, no, you're not. Nobody scheduled you today. And he's like, no, my agency sent me, and there was no identification. There was nothing. So of course there's a safety issue with that. So not only am I really building this as a proactive approach to healthcare, but taking into account the I hate to say it, bad news bear situations that I ran into with safety, financial abuse that could happen easily in this arena, and things like that. So families know that they're not getting screwed. They know that who they are hiring is the person that's coming in the door. And it's just that peace of mind. And like you said, if it's only $22 for an hour to have somebody sit with grandma with coffee in a hand, and they just chit chat for an hour, it's that 1 hour to know that the person that they love is alive and well and doing okay, and they can move on with life. It's just we believe in an easy substitute, not completely substituting family taking care of the patient, but we can be that Johnny on the spot type of thing. And we also are looking to do this for pediatric care as well. So if you have pediatric patients or families that are needing babysitting services, we're easily going to be able to move into that arena for on-demand babysitting. We've already had families ask, so it's not going to be off too far from maybe in the next year we'll have babysitting on there for on-demand.
That's awesome. And as Jason said, that great presentation. Thank you for this. I do have a question though. So I actually, my wife and I, we are in a similar situation to you, Jason. And we have a 98-year-old grandmother who moved in with her parents, who are, a little older themselves, so they're, a lot slower than what they used to be in terms of movement. One of the pain points that we have, other than, sort of the issues that we deal with the agency, is having that conversation with her siblings, right? And so this is their grandmother. One sibling feels that, hey, everybody needs to be in and taken care. We need to put together a routine. Another one is like, no, I need to live my life. And another, so it's like, I don't know if this is a thing, but they really don't understand or know how to have that conversation, right? That, hey, Nene is slipping, she's not all the way there. We can ignore it, but that will sort of make things worse, right? And since we relocated to Metro Atlanta, and since we came here, Nene's walked outside and fell. And so it's like, is there a way that families should be having this conversation? Like, in your studies, have you learned of the best strategy to actually, for families to have a conversation about how to best take care of their loved one?
Actually, yeah, I'm part of the board here in Pinellas County, Florida, which is part of Tampa Bay, called Better Living for Seniors. We're under the Area Agency of Aging, which is under the Department of Elder Affairs. One of the suggestions that I have is reaching out to your local Elder Affairs department there. I don't know if it's in Fulton County or if it's by the city metro. But I would definitely take a look at their website for resources. One of the things that anytime it comes to developing care is, you are going to have the family struggle unless you have written plans. So as somebody, in my late 30s about to turn 40, and, having my parents, we've always had a care plan in place, so to speak, kind of rough, but it's up to the parents and the grandparents to kind of start having those conversations and generating it. But now that you've already have your grandmother at 98 showing this, where she needs more dependent care, when you talk to family, and like I just went through this with my brother and sister, there has to be kind of sort of a leader. I hate to say it, But you guys need to come together and decide who's going to be the primary caregiver, who's technically the one that's making decisions for grandma. And that person needs to also understand what it means to advocate, but also be able to delegate as well. And when you're talking about care, you really want to just kind of see where people are at. And if there are family members that are like, hey, listen, I can't do this, don't force them to do it, because you're going to end up being disappointed and creating more family friction if you put expectations on those family members that say, hey, I can't do it. What you can do to encourage family members that are doing this whole entire, I don't want to get involved, it's probably because they're either scared or they really are so stressed about it in their own life that they just don't know how to add to their cup, so to speak. So I would suggest just asking, okay, we understand you probably don't want to do a time commitment, things like that. Is it possible for you to contribute in other ways? Do you mind making a meal for grandma this week? Do you mind, contributing to a family fund to pay for care? Do you mind, helping me out with my laundry because I have to go and take care of grandma tonight? So instead of them taking direct care, they're actually helping the caregiver provide care. It's leveraging out what the main caregiver has to do to people who are, not willing to provide direct care, but they can help support the supporter, so to speak.
That's great. I got to say, the advice that you just gave, I haven't looked at your website in great length. So I don't know if you offer a blog with this type of information, but when I see on the screen right now that you're looking for, a marketing advisor. As a marketing person, I would tell you that what you just shared with us in that 3 minutes is invaluable information that should be distributed on your blog and through all social channels, because it's that type of conversation that's going to lead people to what you offer, right? And I know where you're only a third of the way there, but with a November, December launch, like you should be building this library of information now, because SEO just takes a while, right? So that was incredible.
Thank you. And I do have a blog. I have not contributed to it in probably a year and a half. The idea of this company came about during my MBA program at the University of Tampa. And one of our assignments, our second semester in class, was to start a blog, a personal blog, business blog, whatever we wanted it to be. And mine came about through, the company idea came about in my first semester class. And then I started the blog about healthcare and caregiving and my own health journey as well. But I just haven't contributed to it in about a year and a half or so. But it does have information in there. But I think I need to hire a ghostwriter to start doing some more content, it sounds like.
I definitely think that you should. I definitely think that you should. I think you should have that person really be invested in the content, because they can go back through your old blogs, clean them up, repurpose them, repurpose them in the sense of coming at it from a direction of this being a solution, not just here's great advice, right? And then of course going forward, creating new content where you have something like where you literally share this video with them and say, write blog pieces on this, and then you just sit back, let them do it. But I think you need to create that content in mass and as quickly as you can come up with topics.
And I've been using TikTok and Instagram as well, because I do better just rambling, it seems like, on certain topics. I got really great feedback when I talked about my company in general. I created an 8-part series on TikTok, and I had over 400 views the first day on the first video, which talks the primary of why I created the company. And I had several nurses actually reach out and say, I'm actually interested, to send me more information. So I know that there's definitely a need for content out there, and I definitely will start creating much more as far as videos and blogs. I think my personal thing, I love watching videos more than reading. And I think that's just because that's now the societal shift. I used to read a boatload. Now it's more videos. But I definitely will be working on that for sure. But definitely
today.
check out your Elder Affairs department because they definitely have a lot of resources.
Rebecca, a quick question. How do you interact with insurance companies?
So as of right now, we are operating on a private pay structure because the cost of having to hold about 90 to 120 days worth of medical billing and still having to pay our care providers is not going to be feasible. We would have to raise over 150 million right out the gate to probably work with insurance companies. So for us, we're starting off at private pay. Our plan is once we are financially stable, we will most likely have a round of investing so we can have a lot of collateral liquid cash. So if we do go the insurance route, we would be able to cover our expenses for at least 3 months. And we would be at that point in about, I think on our timeline, we would be in about 30 to 35 states. So if you can think of how many insurance transactions would be happening at any given time, we would need a lot of capital to cover those expenses until we get paid from insurance companies.
We did have a comment on Facebook, which I'll tag you when I go back and edit the post, but I'll read it to you for the time being. From Jessica, hello, my father is in assisted living in Florida. My sisters do a lot of the caregiving and organizing of his care. I'm going to forward this video to them to see if there's something that your company can help with. Right now he has COVID and is at the VA hospital, but doing great presentation.
Thank you, Jessica. And I hope your dad does recover quickly from COVID, and it sounds like he's going to be okay. Yeah, my dad actually lives currently in an assisted living facility. It was the biggest struggle that my family's actually had to face because my dad has some cognitive behavioral issues because of his stroke. And it was extremely difficult when you can't be inside of a facility for almost 2 years and be able to hug your loved one because everything was on lockdown. With regards to, this application, I have been kind of really trying to push our application as much as possible to be built more recently, because we have, with the healthcare industry the way it is, where there are nursing shortages, a lot of facilities have gone from 3-person, professionals working on the floor for so many residents, which we call the care ratio, patient to nurse care ratio, where it's now double where it was before. So for a floor of, 12 to 18 patients, you have 2 care providers. And that's not a good ratio. Usually the standard ratio should be 1 to 4, 1 to 5 at most. State law actually mandates those, but because of COVID, people have been able to bend the rules. So my family has seen an issue where care has been questionable. I don't want to say neglectful, because it's not neglect. I think it's just been a challenge for care providers at my dad's facility to be able to get him in and out of bed, get him engaged and things like that. So we've actually talked about hiring, and if my application was up and running in Pennsylvania, I'd be doing this, would be hiring somebody to come in and hang out with my dad for an hour or 2 a day, and be able to get him out of bed, give him a reason to get out of bed, motivate him, and kind of be like my second eyes and ears if we're not in the facility 24/7, that type of a thing. But this is an opportunity for families to be useful, to assist in care at facilities, keep their loved one at home, which is best for those who have dementia and Alzheimer's. It's also a great opportunity to keep your loved ones who do need medical attention or care to be able to still vacation with you. And you can have our care providers be with you on vacation to take care of the person that needs help more. So it's not a working vacation, so to speak.
How long has this process been for you?
The idea came about 6 years ago. We started development formally in May. So we're about 4 months in to development, just shy of 4 months into development. It took me over a year to find my CTO, but we started putting a lot of the ducks in a row before we got our CTO, and we just started honing and shining up the process before we started building. And then now that we're building, it's just been a slow process because of financial. We're still bootstrapping everything. So we're using nickels, dimes, and pennies to pay for developers at this point. And then we're still trying to get our API partners to work with us, especially since some of them may have cost structure up front. We're just trying to figure out how do we get going without having a financial output, without having any revenue for several months until we're officially on the marketplace.
It's great. Well, this was a great presentation and an awesome conversation. Definitely you're building, and I wish you a lot of success. I definitely will be in touch, making some connections for you. And this is on Facebook Live, so you're of course welcome to go back and watch it at any time. Hopefully we'll have some additional people tune in and watch it later and leave some comments. So I'll be sure to tag you. Will I find you on Facebook with the old NOC stat, or?
You should look up just Care Collective app. It should be our handle is, let me go back to the first page. Our handle at Care Collective app should be on Instagram, Facebook. I don't think it's on Twitter, but it's not on TikTok yet. We have not launched our TikTok page.
I'll find you on Facebook and Instagram so that people can easily click to find you, but also so that you're tuned into whatever comments might be left.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And if you guys know any people who are nurses, CNAs, or HHAs, which we call home health aides, respiratory therapy care, massage therapy, physical, occupational, and speech therapists, we're offering all of these types of services on our platform. And for any care providers out there that are looking to get out of the traditional hospital scene and looking for an independent contractor type of job where they have complete autonomy, I mean, 100% complete autonomy, this is the platform for them.
Yeah, I've got a list of people who I think might be interested. It's great.
Perfect. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys for being here today. Enjoy your coffee.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, bye guys.